welcome to a show that is popular. The show is so popular, made it from stage to screen, about a girl that's green and a doomed jury ship. That's all you're getting from me. That terrible singing is all you're getting from me. I could reword the entire song, but I don't want to. So we're talking about Wicked today, and specifically how much the stage, musical, and film are like the original book. And to answer that question, they're about as alike as oil and water, they just don't mix. They're very different things. Oh god, little me was not prepared for a Wicked. My mum made the same mistake, after taking me to Wicked when I was about 11, that so many parents did after the films came out. And that was like, oh, my kid likes Wicked, let's get them this extremely political and sexual book. Honestly, little me was sat there, mum gave me this book after we saw Wicked the stage musical. Again, I was about 11, and she brings me this book, and she's like, yay, for your birthday, woo, because you loved the musical so much and hadn't looked at the content warnings. And so, little me was, reading this book, expecting magic and witches and, a hella gay friendship, and was like, why is this mouth on her nipple? What the hell? And then, as an adult, I've reread it just recently, and as I fully realized they're sexual, I'm like, oh, why is this mouth on her nipple? What the hell? Oh, so much sex. By the way, that reminds me, if you are watching this and you are triggered by topics of essay or anything like that, then please maybe skip this video, because Gregory Maguire, when he wrote the Wicked books, a lot of it is about consensual sex, yeah, but there is some major themes. There are major themes of essay and also any trigger warnings for slavery, political violence, and censoring of the state. So there's your warning. I really want you all to be safe in what you believe in. And so now let's get on with the show. So as usual, I'll generally go by characters and their importance to the thing, going from the least to most important characters and how they weave into the plot. So we'll start with a couple that are arsenic to mashed potatoes. They shouldn't mix. And that's Elphaba's parents, which is where the book starts anyway. Wicked is very much the entire life of Elphaba. Which, by the way, she's named after L. Frank Baum, who wrote the original Wizard of Oz series, because it's his initials, Elphaba, and I really love that. It's something that's actually really neat that Gregory Maguire did. I think that's so cool. My eyes keep travelling over there. It's because I've got the books right there. So sorry about that. But anyway, Elphaba's parents. Alright, so Elphaba's parents are both very prestigious people in their own rights, and the film is oh yeah, the governor of Munchkinland loves his wife very much, and they're living this very nice life together, but she's obviously having an affair, and it's with the wizard at this point, but she obviously does not love him like he loves her. Nope, books are different. Already, immediate change. So, both of Elphaba's parents are from very prestigious family lines. The mum is from a long line of wealth, and prosperity and leading eminent frops. Whereas her dad is very prominent in a line of pastors and religion, and it's kind of they thought this would be a beneficial match because, what goes better than wealth and religion? And it's literally anything, because this woman who is expecting her husband to climb the ranks is he could be a pastor for anyone. He could be he could try and get into the palaces and lead them and be their church, and instead he just wants to preach to the poor people, and he thinks that charity starts at home. And so these two are not a good match, and yet for all of that they do still love each other, but they're just not good together. I've literally forgotten their names. I know they have them, but we'll call them Pastor and Richko for now because my brain is like blanking on their names because they're just not important to me. I'm sorry. But yeah, like, so, like, the pastor, like, he's, like, taking care of his, like, flock more than he's taking care of his wife, and she's bored without, like, the frivolities and, like, attention of being in, let's see, this Quadling Country, Munchkinland. Where is she from? She's from the center, sorry. She's from, like, the center of Oz, where it's, like, all high life and everything is, like, great. Gillikin Country, she's Gillikinese, there we go. And instead, she's been forced into, like, Munchkinland because her husband wants to be here, and, like, they're just not doing great because of it. But the real problem comes in for these two when the pleasure faith comes into it. Because, like, everything about this book is, like, the splitting of religions and using religious books and, like, you know, using your power and knowledge to trick the people into conforming to what you want, all right? So, like, there's the Osiad, which is, like, the original Bible, which is what this guy is preaching, about how, like, Ozma, the Great Fairy, came down and, like, she ruled with, like, gentleness and kindness. But that's, like, boring and it's, like, super hard work. So then you have the pleasure faith that comes along. And, like, this is before the wizard. Like, he just jumps on the pleasure faith train to, like, get his goals sorted, right? So the pleasure faith comes along and it's like a lot of bells and whistles and like showing the people what they want. But it's also like brutally violent because it's like embrace your basest instincts and become who you want to be. And like, you know, if you've got the urge to be violent, then be violent. You know, it's part of your instincts, it's part of your nature. So why wouldn't you do that? And so like, literally, like one of the first things that happens is Elphaba's dad gets chased out of town because this like big clock, which is just massive part of puppetry, the time dragon clock, comes in for the pleasure faith, and it shows him and his wife like hoarding wealth even though they haven't, and people immediately just go to the basest instincts, get mad and like get ready to kill him, get ready to kill her, and get ready to kill Elphaba as she is being born. And it's only because of free peasant women that are like, we should probably do the right thing, right? And they're not nice women. These women aren't, like, kind or nice, but they're just doing, like, the bare minimum of, well, I mean, he hasn't been a total dick of a pastor, you know, he's, like, held, like, cloths to our heads when we're sick. We should probably remember this, which is what he thought everyone would do, but instead, immediately, they turn against him, you know, because, yeah, there is always going to be something more appealing than, like, the memories we've built up together with other people, and, again, grit and hard work, and that's kind of their point. So yeah, like, they, you know, like I said, they're not a great couple, like, they come in for the beginning, and also, immediately, as soon as they're chased out of town, they go, well, where should we go? Where should we, like, we shouldn't probably stay in Munchkinland, it's kind of sucky here, but, like, the pastor's sort of determined to stay in the sense that people need him now more than ever, because, again, the pleasure faith is taking over his faith of the Osiad. And so, like, you have him, and he's like, yes, this is where I'm needed most. And then this, like, Quadling comes, and Quadlings, they're actually very smart, sensitive people, but because they don't speak as well as others, like, it's not their native language, everyone assumes they're stupid and, like, dumb and just, like, terrible people, and, like, they're better than them, you know, like, they are better than the Quadlings. Even the Munchkins are like, oh, we're better than those mudslingers. Fucking idiots, honestly. And so you have one who comes in, and he's called Turtle Hat. And the first thing that happens, I swear to God, is that the woman's like, oh, this dude Turtle Heart's here, and we've been ostracized from town. Look, I'm literally here with my tits out. Like, genuinely, she's so, like, just not bothered about her life anymore, that she's just there with her tits out, and, like, Elphaba's, like, by her leg, because, like, a little bit of time has passed. It's like, okay, yeah, we get it. You know, you're into the nudity because she's not proud of herself. Thanks, Gregory. Again, it's gonna make me sound like I hate this book, but I'm gonna give you like a full like analysis on what I like, what I don't like at the end, I guess. Anyway, Turtle Hat comes in. She's like, finally, a man who pays attention for me, and like her husband comes home, and he's like, oh, finally, a man who pays attention to my cause, and they start a throuple with this man, and he's like the first person that's loved their weird green child, you know, Elphaba. And like literally you see Elphaba and you see Nessa Rose in the film. You never see Shell, their brother. They have a brother to this throuple, his name's Shell after Turtle Heart. Like, not that he's like a super important character, he barely comes into it, but still, like, it's just to mention that they have a brother. Like, meanwhile, like, like they have this throuple, and he dies, and then they immediately become like missionaries in his name, and it's like, yeah, again, like they had a good time with this guy, but they didn't really pay attention to what they needed. Also, you've got like this guy, he never becomes the governor of Munchkinland. That's never a thing. So you've got this pastor who's like the like the dad in Wicked. In the book, he's like, he's obviously favoriting Nessa Rose. Okay, that's his beautiful little girl, and also she pays so much attention to religion that like he's like she's taking on the mantle of what he's been teaching. But then he looks at like Elphaba and he's like, you know what? Yeah, this is my weird little green girl, and she's sharp and she's like a bit sassy, but I'm trying to love her. This girl who loves broken things, like, you know, she's a broken thing herself, and you know, in the name of the Ozyad, I love my daughter. And in the film, he's like, who's this? Oh, that little fucking green tart. Shit, I thought you were a mouldy log. Why'd you have to speak and remind me of your existence? And he looks at your name. Spitting on her for good measure. Like a really different relationship. Yeah, okay, so next we have Dr. Dillimond, our lovely goat friend, goat of a capital G, because the animals of a capital A, if they can talk. There's like an absolute fundamental difference between animals and lowercase animals, you know? And like, okay, so immediately in like Wicked, the films and like the show, you're like bombarded with animals. Like, again, in the past, there's like they had jobs as like doctors and nurses, etc. And in the book, it's a lot more understated because, again, even before the wizard came along, everyone was already starting to blame the animals for like their problems and everything. And so you have these animals, and they're just like, you know, trying to fight for their lives because they know that they're going to become cattle. Is like, if they don't fight back, they're going to become cattle, and they're not going to have a say in anything that they get to live by and do by. But we have our dearly beloved history professor here, except for in the books, he's not a history professor. He is a biologist, he's a scientist, he's studying the differences between what makes an animal and an animal lowercase, you know? So he's trying to find out, like, why, like, what the biological difference is. He thinks he's going to discover it, but right before he does, he is, you might say, trapped. Nope. Film change. He's murdered. He has his throat slit by the Tin Man who belongs to Madame Morrible. Madame Morrible is like one militant mean bitch while they're in school, but like, and she's like definitely a threat. You can tell she'll claw and do whatever she can to hold on to power, and she is a very powerful witch. And she even like threatens them and tries to like guide the students into what kind of life she wants them to lead. She wants like Glinda to be married high into the Gillicanese people so that she can manipulate other people with her like popularity and like her good looks and her femininity. She wants Elphaba to like study witchcraft instead of the sciences because she's following Dr. Dillimond's path, you know. She has like a place for Nessa Rose as well as like a preacher of Munchkinland, so she can also control the passes, and like she wants her Nessa to also take over as the eminent frop of Munchkinland as well. So like she's basically planting people in each place, and they're like, oh, what about Quadling Country? Oh, fuck Quadling Country. No one wants to go to Quadling Country. Even I'm an evil dictating bitch, but I won't send you to Quadling Country. And like Nessa and Elphaba, like we grow up there. It's not that bad. Fucking Quadling Country, you know. And you're not gonna send you there. But again, like once they're out of the school setting, Madame Morrible comes into it, like the novel, like once as she's risen into the ranks of the wizards. Like the wizards, well, just risen the wizard ranks. I couldn't get the sentence out. I'm so sorry. It was like a tongue twister for me. I don't know what happened. Well, now it keeps happening. Yeah, sod it. We're going on. Like, but she's not, like, super important after that. It's just, like, you have this threat in school, and you know she's a bad person later, and then, like, that's it. You know, she's gone. She's not a grander part of the scheme of things. So in which they have, like, the cowardly lion in the school as well, and they do that bit where they bring him in a cage and whatnot, but no one rescues him. He's just a coward because he was born a coward, you know? Like, it's not because of Elphaba, it's not because of anything, he's just a cowardly lion. He just is what he is. Like, if you put something in a cage, it's going to be afraid. That's, like, the way, like, the be-all and end-all of it. So after Dr. Dillimond, Madame Morrible, we've had the Tin Man, sort of, which is like a TikTok machination. They're their own kind of people, but they obviously have to follow orders, so something similar to robotics, I guess. We'll bring in our boy, Bok.
Bok Woodsman of Munchkin Land.
So Bok in the films and stage play is very much in love, in an unrequited love with Miss Glinda. And like, it kind of like, he plays it out, you know, he does his romance, like, he has his little schoolboy crush, and he very much is in love with the, like, popular version of Glinda, you know. And then the second she starts thinking for herself and she's changed by Dr. Dillimond's death, and, like, Elfie is encouraging her to, like, look at the world around her and everything, like, yeah, he realizes that this is not the person who he thought he was in love with, and he's like, oh, I guess I'm done with my schoolboy shit. It was nice to be in love for a while. I should go to a sex club. And the guys are like, yeah, you should go to a sex club. He's like, we should all go to a sex club. Is that a guy fucking a tiger?
He fucked a tiger! I did not!
Huh. Good for them. I wish I hadn't come to the sex club. And they're like, ah, we like the guy fucking the tiger, Bok. What are you talking about? He's like, I think I came to the wrong place. Thought this was going to be a sex club for me, not for me to be a voyeur. It's like a really fucked up little story. Seriously, so much sex, like 90% of it is just sex. So moving on, we have Glinda the Good.
Are you looking for something? Or someone?
And okay, so she is obviously Elphaba's roommate, and they do become friends, and she's already embarrassed to admit that she's friends with the green girl, you know, like, more because Elphaba is, like, so openly poor. Like, again, her father, like, gave up all his, like, wealthly possessions, and their mother died after, like, shortly after, so she's, like, always, like, shabbily dressed, but she doesn't mind because she's like, you know, appearance is, like, I'm already green, what the hell do I care for, like, fancy clothes or dressing up, you know? Like, she's like, that's what my sister likes. I love my sister. She can have all the jewels and all the, like, fancy shoes that my mother had and, like, live like that, you know? That's her life. That's her wants. But you can also tell she's a little bit envious of her sister at the same time. Like, she wants what she wants, but it's not happening. But, like, Glinda is a little bit of a mean girl. Like, you know, she tries to get in with the meaner girls because they are, like, also insanely rich, and she's like, yeah, okay, if I can get in with them, that ups my status, because, yeah, she is decently popular, and she's, like, quite pretty, but she is, like, nowhere near this, like, little rich princess who gets everything she wants. She is, like, upper middle class is what we'll call her, you know, and she's trying to break her way into that high society life. And also she has very real magic, okay? She's not greatly talented with it, but she doesn't have to fake it. She can perform magic. She just doesn't, like, put her mind to it quite as much as she should, you know? Like, but she, like, there are instances in the book where she actually does very useful things with it when she starts to think about it, when Elphaba, like, prods and pushes her to use her brain. And so, like, after they were threatened by Madame Morrible, these two break into the Emerald City, you know, like, they run away from school. And, like, there's no great coup, you know, they go to see the wizard, and Elphaba's like, look, you gotta stop your bullshit, okay, because, like, I know you weren't in charge 20 years ago, like, I actually read the history books. And she's also like, and also I know you took this place by violence. I know that you used the pleasure faith. I know that you've been raiding Quadling country for all their jewels, their emeralds, everything like this. And she's basically like saying, get the hell out. And also I know that you enslaved the animals that are around, and I have actual proof, because she's got Dr. Dillimond's notes, that animals are different to animals of a capital A. And the wizard's having none of it. Like, he's got his little skeleton, like, mannequin fucking around with him because he hasn't upgraded to the big face and everything yet. And yeah, he basically kicks their asses out, threatens to have them killed, tells them that he knows that they've broken away from school and that Madame Morrible is, like, there waiting for them. And so instead, if Elphaba can't change the world, like, correctly, like she's asking to, she just decides to become a girl on the run. She becomes like an inside agent for like just like a splinter group of people who are just trying to fight the government underground, and she disappears from society, which is a little bit hard for a green girl to do, but she does it anyway. So moving on to Elphaba. I will bring up Fiyero shortly, like he does come into it. I forgot to mention Fiyero, but we'll go on to Elphaba. So, like, a great portion of her story is literally just her being underground and doing stuff. It's like, you really want to know what she's doing and why she's doing it, because Fiyero is the one that finds her and is like, you know, you can say you're like a secret agent and you've been missing for years and whatever, and you can like literally go, no, I'm not telling you anything about my people, because then you can be killed and tortured for this information. But like, I wish we'd hear it more from Elphaba's point of view, so we actually get some of this information of what her quest is, what her goals are, like how she's going to accomplish them, who she knows of in this like secret agency. Like, they just never talk about it. It's like quite like annoying for me, because I'm like, you've had, I like literally, I like counted somewhere around like 7 sex scenes with her and Fiyero when he discovers her, because he discovers her and she's like, fuck, get out my life, and he's like, no, and she's like, well, wanna have sex? And he's like, yeah, that sounds great, fucking awesome. And she's like, it's a one-time thing, and then she can't let go of him because like this is just their little, it's not even a very good bond, they don't like each other. Like, you can, like, it's a very weird thing if you can love someone and not like them at the same time. Like, sometimes he's like fully enamored with her, and then other times he's like, this spiky bitch, she just won't talk to me, she won't give me anything, she keeps stonewalling me. And it's like, yeah, okay, so we had like 7 scenes of them like having sex, and like in pretty good detail too, and I'm like, all right, but still I want to know more about what's going on in the world around them. Jumping off from that to Fiyero for a bit.
Fiyero, Tigler. Winky country.
Like, the Winkies are like tribal people, like they're sort of described as like, they're like the people of color of this world, if you will, you know, like the tribal people of color of this world. And so, like, Winky people, they don't have a whole lot of respect, you know? Like, they're basically just above Munchkins and Quadlings, but kind of hardly, because at least Munchkins have a society in people's eyes. And, like, when Fiyero was just a child, he was already promised to another woman. So there's no, like, Glinda, Elphaba, Fiyero love triangle. There's just this, like, entire thing of them kind of, like, going, well, you're already engaged to be married? He's like, yeah, I've been engaged since I was 7, but we don't get married until, like, you know, I'm like done my schooling and like an adult, because that would be terrible. And they're like, okay, what a weird part of your culture. Anyway, now we know you're untouchable, let's like never really speak of this again. Until like he's like meets Elphaba again in his like adulthood, and he's like cheating on his wife, like his wife doesn't really like him. It was an arranged marriage. Like, he doesn't even really like his kids either. Like, he loves his children in the sense that they're his children. But because he's, like, the prince, he's always off, like, doing, like, trade deals and, like, meetings and traveling. So they don't really know him, and they're kind of afraid of him in the sense of, this is a person of power, even though it's our dad, you know? So, like, there's kind of, like, the general characters condensed, and then the plot is just so stringing along. So, like I said at the beginning, you have the parents. Then it's them at school, and you've got Nessa Rose, who is described as a cripple, but it's not in the sense of that she's paraplegic. She can walk. It's that she's got no arms, so she has very poor balance, and even then her feet are like hunched in and curled over. And everyone fucking hates this bitch. Like, everyone hates Nessa Rose. They're like, oh look, she's a peach because she's Elphaba's sister, and Elphaba was our friend first, and she came to this college like 2 years earlier because she's the older sister and her dad loves her. But my god, if she gives me one more religious rant, I'm going to fucking kill her or myself. I'm not sure which, alright? Like, myself would be faster, because but she can't run very far. I think I can get her. And yeah, she's always just quoting her religions, and just like everyone kind of just fucking hates her because she's like about as fun as a wet blanket, you know? And yeah, anyway. Then like they're doing the whole bit in college where it's like they're all working for Dr. Dillimond in secret and finding out how like the difference between an animal and an animal. And in the Bible, it's that they were born of Ozma's piss. That's a thing. The ones that didn't drown, they became the animals that could talk because they were loyal enough not to drown in the piss. And they compare it with another. It's like, oh, her tears. And I'm like, oh god, how many times are we gonna mention this fucking Bible? Honestly, they bring it up like every 20 pages, you know. And then like they go off, they run away from college. Glinda's left behind by Elphaba. Elphaba's found like years later by Fiyero, and then like her mission fails after she's been like sleeping with him for a while, you know, having their affair, and he's the one that's captured, and he's immediately like either black bagged or killed, but it's kind of assumed he's tortured and killed because like the fear in that is that it's the unknown of what the government's going to do to you. And they found him in Elphaba's hideout because they were obviously looking for her and went, next best thing. And then she goes to a convent and she doesn't speak and she just stays there for 7 years. And when she comes out, she has a son. He's called like Lur. And he's just this like wussy little boy. He's not green like her. He's not good looking like his dad. So like she just keeps him in like he doesn't really speak much. And they do a whole like trail of going through because she's like the one thing she's determined to do. She's like, well, I failed at overthrowing the wizard. I guess my political career is over. So instead, I'll go make amends and I'll apologize to Fiero's widow, basically, because she's like, you know, the reason that she's a widow is because of my fault, and also I had an affair. And then they stay there because like they get welcomed in. And then it's just like at the end where Dorothy comes and Elphaba accidentally sets herself on fire, so Dorothy throws water over her and she melts. And it's like Lur is the son that's left behind, which is where the books continue because that goes on to Son of a Witch, and then it's The Lion Among Men about the Cowardly Lion, and then it's Out of Oz, which is I believe another green girl, and it's like her granddaughter or great granddaughter, maybe one of those. Like, the ending, it just feels like this book is so slow to be read. It really is. So what I'm going to say is, like, the film and the musical. So, okay, when the book came out, it was praised as insanely popular, and there was only, like, one review that knocked it, and that was, like, I think the New York Times. Double check me on that by all means, but there was, like, one where it was like, you've taken the whimsy out of Oz and you've just made it a political hellscape. Now, I'm all for political books, and, you know, I don't mind a bit of sex in my books. I'm not, like, a total prude or anything, right? But, like, I quite agree that these books removed the whimsy from Oz. Oz should have colour, it should have brightness, it should have, like, this magic to it that isn't all just like, oh, political corruptness and evil and blah, blah. So when you bring in the films, which has, you have the lion and he's a coward because Elphaba rescued him, right? And you have, like, the Tin Man, who is Bok, who lost his heart because of a spell that went wrong between Nessa and Elphaba. And then you've got, like, Fiyero, who turns into the Scarecrow, and it's, like, poetic justice. Like, he's lost his looks, but it was to save his life. Like, she would do anything to save him, even if Elphaba doesn't understand what she's doing. She's done this, right? And then, like, in the books, it just feels like they're bringing up politics, they're bringing up the beating of the animals, they're bringing up, like, the oppression, and I'm like, yes, okay, this is the world you want to build. Yes, this is the wizard. You want to bring him in to say that he's the oppressor and that he's taking advantage of the political instability in Oz and, like, people's naiveties. Great. But then, like, the musical and, like, the film, it just, like, ties it all together so magnificently. And it does it while keeping this, like, beautiful sense of light and, like, wonder and colour and magic and, like, bringing Madame Morrible to be Elphaba's, like, magic teacher. That's, again, it's, like, a beautiful choice, and it, like, brings it all together. And you've got, like, Fiyero, and instead of just giving him some, like, random wife in, like, the, you know, in his tribe, you've got, like, Glinda, who is so obsessulated with him, as she says, you know? She's so, like, fascinated with him because she's obsessed with, like, this perfect marriage, but then she's not really thinking about the person underneath. And so it's, like, about these, like, deeper connections that people make and how everyone's, like, intrinsically linked and tied together. I just think it's, like, generally, like, Wicked, the book, it feels like a good starting off point. But yeah, they needed this magic and wonder brought back into the world of, like, Elphaba. I really believe so. So I'm obviously, it's very clear, I'm not a huge lover of the books. I won't read them again. I won't continue with the other three. But I am a lover of the general ideas that came from Gregory Maguire. I just think that they could have been put together way better, you know, like, I feel like he just goes off on tangents sometimes when he's, like, lost his concentration for me. And it's like, I feel like the books are overrated and that the film is, like, perfectly rated in what it is, you know? So, yeah, like, I have no hate for it. Like, I really, you know, you can call me ignorant or whatever. You can say that like, my opinion is wrong, because that's the thing, you know, art is subjective. So there's people who love these books who are like, yes, it adds to the political depth that I've been looking for, you know, and the sexual tension that I've been looking for. But I don't think that's what Oz should have ever been about. So anyway, I digress. Oh, wait, there is one thing I forgot to mention. Again, this is a little bit like, it's a, well, you know, it's a very triggering topic, so let's bring this up. When the wizard, or soon to be wizard because he isn't one yet, meets Elphaba's mom and he has, like, one night stand with her, it isn't consensual. He gives her, like, his elixir drink, whatever it is, probably absinthe, probably something stronger than absinthe because of what it does. It is essentially a date rape drug. She gets a glimpse into what our world is like, about cities made of glass and skyscrapers, and she does not remember that she has ever slept with anyone. It's, like, horrifying, like, that's horrifically dark. And so she never knows why Elphaba's green. She's like, did I have an affair at that point? Because at that point, she's relatively sure that she's remained faithful. All right, and she's, like, questioning herself. She's like, did I do something? And, like, she doesn't know why. And, like, meanwhile, the dad is blaming himself for not being, like, a good enough pastor to his, like, subjects, to his people, to his flock. And so he's blaming himself for what's happened here. And it was, like, never really addressed, like, until, like, way far in the book. Like, the wizard eventually is chased out of Oz and learns that he was, like, Elphaba's father, but it's less remorse and more remorse for, I'm being chased from my political seat of power because this is not great. So there you go. Wicked in a nutshell, I guess. This took, what, like 30 to 40 minutes to watch, and yet the books will take you literal days to read, and it's just, I've just condensed it massively. But again, the plot just wanders off where it wants to. So take it as you will. I really love the series as a whole, like the films, etc. The play, oh my god, the musical was one of the first I saw, and so, like, it, you know, I like to see a lot of stage shows, so this is one I really adore. It has a real special place in my heart. I really wanted to talk about it today. So anyway, thank you for listening, and now I'm going to drink my soup tureen of tea. Alright, bye!